Hello children, back to the class. In today's class, let us discuss about how interaction takes place between the biotic and abiotic components. I told you there will be an interaction between the biotic and abiotic factors in an ecosystem that can be mentioned as or in the form of trophic levels. So you call this as the trophic levels. You need to remember that the trophic level will always starts with the producer and ends with the decomposer. I'll tell you each and every trophic levels. So first, producers are ultimately plants or green plants comes under producers. This producer will be fed by the herbivores. So herbivores comes under the next trophic level. They are called primary consumers. Then comes the primary consumers are fed by the secondary consumers, which includes carnivores, smaller carnivores. Then comes the tertiary consumers, which includes bigger carnivores. And finally, you have the last trophic level as the decomposers. What are decomposers and who are called decomposers? Okay, let me give you an example. These decomposers grow on dead and decay. Very good. So all microbes comes under decomposers. So it is very important to maintain the trophic level. Say for example, if one level is not there, there will be an ecological imbalances. And very importantly, the decomposers plays a major role in the trophic level. Why? Because just imagine all the living forms, if they remain in the environment ever, what will happen? That is not possible. So the decomposers plays a major role. I'll give you another example. Just imagine we have fish tanks at our home. So what will happen if a fish dies inside the fish tank? Do they get decomposed naturally? No. Why? Because we don't have the natural decomposers inside the fish tank. So it is very important to remove the waste then and there, or else that can lead to foul smelling, diseases, and also environmental threats. Okay. So now let us see how the interaction takes place. So always the interaction, when it takes place in series or continuously in one direction, you call such interactions as the food chain. So like a chain. So here if you take, the grass will be eaten by the insect will be fed by frog, snake and eagle. So here the interaction is series, continuous and unidirectional. So you call such transfer of energy as the food chain. Suppose the same grass can be eaten by deer. The deer can be eaten by an eagle. An eagle can also pick a frog. The insect, so you can find more than one population involving in the food chain. So you call such interactions as the food web. So food web are interlinked interaction. You cannot find it continuous, straight or unidirectional. So they are interlinked, whereas food chain forms series. So the energy transfer from one trophic level to the other trophic level, if it is taking place in series, you call it as food chain, and if it is interlinked, you call it as the food web. So you need to understand two important concepts here. One is the 10% energy law concept and the other is biomagnification. So let us see now. 10% energy law concept states we will have an assumption like if the insect is fed by the frog, we think that the frog is eating whole insect so it gains more energy. But that's not true. So let us see what happens here. Which is called the ultimate source of energy? Sun. So from sun, all the herbivores or plants will take up only 1% of energy. So using this 1% of energy, the producers will produce all its life processes. So what will happen when it is doing all its life processes? It will utilize 90% of energy and only 10% of energy is transferred. So the remaining 90 percentage of energy is lost in the form of heat or doing all the life processes. So how much amount of energy is only transferred? 10 percentage. So what will happen when this insect takes up the 10% energy? It will do all the function and it undergoes all the life processes, and again only 10% energy is transferred. So throughout you can find only 10% energy transfer, and the remaining 90 percentage of energy is lost in the form of heat or it will utilize for its life processes. So this concept is called the 10% energy law concept. So this is called the 10% energy law concept. Energy law concept. So this concept obeys thermodynamics, the law of thermodynamics, because the 10 percentage of energy is only derived, the remaining 90 percentage is released out as heat. Okay. One more important thing is, sometimes when there is an energy transfer, there can also occur certain deposition of toxins. I can give you an example. Like farmers, they use pesticides to their fields. So what will happen? The plant will take up all the pesticides or the fertilizers that we use. The plant will absorb all the fertilizers or the pesticides, and even sometimes during rain it can be washed, and the pesticides or the fertilizers that are used for plants can drain in normal water that we consume. So when we consume that, when that water or when that plant is consumed by a herbivore, and that herbivore is fed by a carnivore, then that is fed by a big carnivore, and finally when that big carnivore is consumed by us, what will happen? The toxins keeps on depositing. So let me give you an example so you will understand easily. Say for example, just imagine a grass. A grass is added with fertilizers. Okay. So when this grass is eaten by smaller insects, when this insect is eaten by small fish, when this small fish is fed by big fish, and when this is consumed by human, what will happen? The fertilizers or the pesticides used in grass will be, so say for example, 10 percentage. So when this is fed by the insect, this 10 percentage will increase rapidly because of diffusion. So as it goes, it keeps on increasing, and finally the toxin level will be higher. So you call the deposition of toxins as biological magnification. Biological magnification. So one thing we need to understand is, in a tropic level, as the tropic level goes on, there will be a fall of energy. That is, only 10 percentage of energy is transferred and the remaining 90 percentage is lost. And one more concept is, when there is an increased level of toxins, what will happen? We call that property as the biological magnification. So when there is an increased tropic level, you can find the toxins increasing gradually. You call that property as the property of biological magnification. So all these threats leads to ecological imbalance. So not only that, due to urbanization, industrialization, we totally spoil our environment. So let us see what are the threats that we face and our environment face because of human activities.